Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I'm Tanvi Taneja and with me is Abhishek Mukhopadhyay with the Midday News. The headlines. India-China begin disengagement on LAC after talks between National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister. Over 15,000 people recovered from coronavirus in the last 24 hours. Recovery rate rises above 61%. Registration for human trials of Indian vaccine for coronavirus begins today. Goa opens up for tourists. 250 hotels to open. Maharashtra also allows hotels, lodges and guest houses to operate with conditions. Final year examination in universities to be held by September end, says University Grants Commission. And in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, one terrorist has been gunned down in an encounter. India and China have begun a long process of disengagement in eastern Ladakh after National Security Advisor Ajit Doval spoke to Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi on Sunday evening. The conversation finalized the disengagement in eastern Ladakh and de-escalation along the LAC. The External Affairs Ministry said that the two special representatives agreed that both the sides should take guidance from the consensus of the leaders that maintenance of peace and tranquility in India-China border areas was essential for further development of bilateral relations. They also said that the two sides should not allow differences to become disputes. Therefore, they agreed that it was necessary to ensure at the earliest complete disengagement of the troops along the LAC and de-escalation from India-China border areas for full restoration of peace and tranquility. The two sides should also ensure a phased and stepwise de-escalation in the India-China border areas. They reaffirmed that both sides should strictly respect and observe the line of actual control and should not take any unilateral action to alter the status quo and work together to avoid any incident in the future that could disturb peace and tranquility in the border areas. The government today said a total of 4,39,947 people have recovered from COVID-19 so far, and the recovery rate has improved to 61.13% in the country. In the past 24 hours alone, 15,514 people have recovered. The Health and Family Welfare Ministry said a total of 22,252 new cases of COVID-19 were reported in the country during the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to 7,19,665. In a single day, 467 deaths were reported, taking the nationwide toll to 20,160. Presently, the total number of active corona cases in the country is 2,59,557. Indian Council of Medical Research (ICMR) said that a total of 2,41,430 tests of coronavirus samples were conducted by various laboratories in the country in the last 24 hours. So far, 1,211,092 tests have been conducted.
India has achieved a remarkable feat by performing more than 1 crore COVID-19 tests since the outbreak of corona pandemic in the country. Starting from less than 100 tests per day, a multiple-fold increase in a few months was made possible by dedicated teams of various stakeholders, including research institutions, medical colleges, testing laboratories, ministries, airlines and postal services. During the last 24 hours, more than 3,46,000 COVID samples have been tested in the country. More from a correspondent.
To effectively deal with coronavirus, the government adopted the test, track, treat strategy for early detection and containment of the pandemic. Government promoted the indigenous manufacturers for developing equipments and materials required for COVID-19 testing to become self-reliant. In January this year, India had only one testing laboratory for COVID-19 at National Institute of Virology, Pune. Today, more than 1,100 government and private laboratory chains are testing coronavirus samples across the country. ICMR is continuously ramping up its facilities facilities by approving new laboratories, RT-PCR kits, TrueNet test, CVNet test for COVID-19 testing. ICMR has also recommended the use of rapid antigen test kits for diagnosis of COVID-19 in containment zones in combination with RT-PCR test. India is also producing high-quality, low-cost testing swabs, which resulted in the production of millions of swabs in record time and at a fraction of the cost of the imported ones. Bhupender Singh, AIR News, Delhi.
In Delhi, the number of COVID-19 cases tally have surpassed the 1 lakh mark. 1,379 fresh cases were reported yesterday in a record drop after 19 days. The total number of coronavirus cases stands at 1,823,000. Out of this, 72,000 patients have recovered. The coronavirus recovery rate in Delhi has gone up to 72%. In the last 24 hours, 48 deaths were reported in the national capital, taking the toll to 3,115. The Delhi government has completed the door-to-door health survey in the city's COVID-19 containment zones, covering around 3.68 lakh people. Over 1.66 lakh antigen tests have been conducted in 445 COVID-19 containment zones. On the 29th of last month, the Union Home Ministry had said that the door-to-door survey would be done in containment zones on priority basis by 6th of July.
Indian COVID-19 vaccines are in the global race to end the coronavirus pandemic. Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR, had written to 12 medical institutes in the country to start the first phase of human clinical trials by registering volunteers. Our correspondent has reported that maximum number of these institutes have begun the subject enrollment process, which was slated to be initiated today. ICMR has partnered with Bharat Biotech International Limited to develop Covaxin, whereas Zydus Cadila is working on Zy-Cov-D vaccine. A report.
Drug Controller General of India recently gave nod to the human trial for both Covaxin and Zy-Cov-D vaccines, marking the beginning of an end to the global pandemic. Indian manufacturers account for 60% of vaccine supplies made to UNICEF. Across the world, more than 140 candidate vaccines are under various stages of development. Indian institutions have also engaged in research and development of vaccines in the country. With the beginning of enrollment of volunteers today, the 2 Indian vaccine candidates will now be tested on 1,125 healthy volunteers in the 2 phases of trials. The vaccine will be evaluated for its safety, reactogenicity, tolerability and immunogenicity. Volunteers will be administered 2 intramuscular shots. The proposed age groups for the trials are 18 to 55 years for phase 1 and 12 to 65 years for the second phase. Anand Chaturvedi, AIR News, Delhi.
Dr. Rakesh Mishra, Director of Centre for Cellular and Molecular Biology, Hyderabad, has urged people not to lower their guards amidst the scientific progress on vaccine development. Speaking exclusively to All India Radio News, Dr. Mishra lauded the preemptive and timely approach of the government, which he said provided the required impetus for the scientific development in the country.
Vaccine is not easy to forecast. These are experiments in research. May work, may not work. And there is no proven vaccine for any coronavirus till now. So that doesn't mean that we will not have one. But these are experiments. It will, if it's not successful, we have to try something else. And that is why all over the world, something 200 different vaccines are being tried, different trials, various different ways. So we can't say 100% that we will have a vaccine from this one or the next one. It's a little bit of uncertain game.
The Jeevan Rekha Hospital in Belgavi in Karnataka is one of the 12 hospitals chosen by the Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR, to take up the human trial of Covaxin, India's vaccine against COVID-19. Dr. Amit Bhate of this hospital spoke to our correspondent in Belgavi about the protocol followed while carrying out the human trials of Covaxin, jointly developed by ICMR and Bharat Biotech International Limited.
Now this vaccine will be given to healthy individuals between a certain age group. They should not have any comorbidity. During the period of vaccination or before the vaccination, certain blood samples will be taken to see whether antibodies are not present of any COVID in the patient. And also RT-PCR, that is the COVID test, the patient has to come with a negative COVID test. Then only the vaccine will be given. Based on that, on certain steps the vaccination will be given to the patients, following which the data will be collected and will be sent to ICMR from all the 12 centers across the country.
In Bihar, the number of fatalities due to corona has mounted to 97, with the reporting of 7 deaths. With 276 new coronavirus cases, the total number of cases reached 12,140 and 3,027 patients are undergoing treatment in various hospitals. 9,014 patients have been recovered and discharged from hospitals. The recovery rate is over 74% in the state. 40 doctors, including 20 in Patna, have tested positive. In Jharkhand, 55 new positive cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed in the last 24 hours in the state. In the last 4 days, the number of COVID-19 positive cases detected in the state has seen an upward trend. Cumulatively, 2,870 people have been tested for COVID-19 as positive so far.
In Chandigarh, 21 persons, including 3 health employees, tested positive for COVID-19 and 6 patients were discharged after recovery. With this, the number of persons found positive for COVID-19 so far has gone up to 487. The COVID-19 case count in Madhya Pradesh climbed to 15,284 with addition of 354 new cases in the last 24 hours. The death toll in the state has risen to 617. A total of 168 persons were discharged from hospitals yesterday, taking the number of the recovered cases to 11,579. As per the State Health Bulletin, the number of cases in Indore, the worst state district, rose to 4,876 and the death toll to 246. The number of cases in Bhopal stood at 3,110, including 112 fatalities.
No new coronavirus case was reported from 15 districts since yesterday, while 2 districts did not have any active cases. So far, about 4,17,000 samples of corona infection have been tested in Madhya Pradesh. Meanwhile, efforts to control corona infection are showing good results and COVID-19 patients are continuously decreasing in the state. The Kill Corona campaign is also being run in Madhya Pradesh from July 1st to 15. Till date, a total of 56,81,000 houses have already been surveyed under the campaign and around 2 crore 90 lakh people have been covered. During the survey, 31,584 suspected patients of corona infection were reported. Apart from this, 12,063 people suffering from other disease were also reported. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
Maharashtra government is undertaking all the necessary measures to provide all possible assistance to the COVID-19 patients and control the spread of the infection. As a part of these measures, Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray will inaugurate some more COVID facilities in the state this afternoon. More from our Mumbai correspondent.
State government's effort since the first case of coronavirus was reported has been bringing about positive results and are visible on grounds. As a part of these efforts, 15,000 patients have cured in the last 4 days. A total of 3,522 patients were discharged from hospitals yesterday, taking the number of total recovered persons to 1,15,262. The recovery rate in the state has gone up to 54.37%, while the fatality rate is 4.26%. Meantime, in order to reduce the contact of COVID-positive persons with healthcare staff, BMC has launched a robotic trolley. This will also reduce the quantity of PPEs used during activities such as food distribution in COVID wards. Madhuri Pange, AIR News, Mumbai.
In the Union Territory of Puducherry, 32 new cases of COVID-19 were reported today, taking the total number of active cases to 510. In the status report released by the Puducherry Health Department, 31 new cases were reported in Puducherry region and 1 in Mahe region. So far, 1,041 persons were infected by the virus, of which 517 were treated and discharged, and 14 have died, leaving 510 positive cases in hospitals.
The Goa government has geared up efforts to contain the spread of coronavirus with the death of 8 people in the state. A report.
Goa government has strengthened machinery to curb spread of COVID-19. Former Health Minister and former State BJP President Dr. Suresh Amankar passed away yesterday due to COVID while undergoing treatment at the hospital. With this, the death toll in the state is 8. Chief Minister Dr. Pramod Sawant has announced that the government would commence antibody testing at Mangor near Vasco. Taking into account rise in cases in last week, it is decided to deploy more teams for swab collecting and testing. Meanwhile, monsoon rains has crossed 55 inches and agricultural works have begun. Mukesh Tadi for AIR News from Panji, Goa.
8 new cases of COVID-19 were reported in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands today. 2 patients have recovered as well. Now the total number of active cases has reached 73. They all are travellers. The total number of COVID-19 cases reported in the islands has reached 147, out of which 74 patients have recovered. Sikkim has not reported a single COVID-19 case in the last 24 hours after reporting 22 new cases on Sunday. The total number of cases stand at 125, of which 47 are active, 65 people have been discharged after recovery, and 13 cases have migrated out. In view of the surge in COVID-19 cases among army and paramilitary personnel, Sikkim Chief Secretary S.C. Gupta convened a meeting with senior officers of the Army, ITBP, SSB and GREF yesterday to discuss the situation.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. India-China begin disengagement on LAC after talks between National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister. Over 15,000 people recovered from coronavirus in the last 24 hours. Recovery rate rises above 61%. Registration for human trials of Indian vaccine for coronavirus begins today. Goa opens up for tourists, 250 hotels to open. Maharashtra also allows hotels, lodges and guest houses to operate with conditions. Finally, examination in universities to be held by September end, says University Grants Commission. And in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, 1 terrorist has been gunned down in an encounter. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
In Mizoram, 11 persons were tested positive for coronavirus in the last 24 hours. A report from our Aizawl correspondent.
With the newly found positive cases, the total positive case for COVID-19 infections in the state has reached 197, while active case is 64 and 133 patients have been discharged after recovery till date. According to an official statement, the newly confirmed cases included 5 NDRF, 5 BSF personnel and 1 civilian. Officials said all the new cases have travel history and they were in quarantine centers. Subhashish Chando, AIR News, Aizawl.
In Nagaland, 11 new cases of COVID-19 positive have been detected today, taking the total cases in the state to 636. In a tweet, Minister, Health and Family Welfare S. Phang Newform informed that out of the 313 samples tested, 11 fresh positive cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed, 10 from Mon and 1 from Kohima. Out of the 636 positive cases, the state now has active cases of 393, while 243 have recovered.
Goa state government has granted permission to about 250 hotels to open in the state for domestic tourists from this month. More from a correspondent.
Tourists have to either carry a COVID-19 negative certificate or get compulsorily tested and quarantined in the state border. Tourists who test positive will be given the option of returning to their respective states or stay back in Goa and pay for their treatments. Tourists will have to mandatorily pre-book their stay at hotels which have only received Tourism Department's approval. With 9 private chartered jets landing in Goa over the past few days, the state is first emerging as the happening tourist destination for those people who have leased luxury villas in the state. Meenakshi for AIR News, Goa.
In Maharashtra, the state government is gradually lifting restrictions under the 5th phase of Mission Begin Again. Our correspondent reports that the fresh orders have been issued to allow hotels, lodges and guest houses outside containment zones to operate from tomorrow with 33% of the capacity. More from a Mumbai correspondent.
The hoteliers have been asked to ensure proper crowd management in the hotels, including elevators and parking lots, mandatory thermal screening at entrance and reception tables, which should have protective glasses. The government has instructed the hoteliers to make available for free hand sanitizers, preferable pedal-operated dispensers at the reception, guest rooms and public spaces for customers. The hotels must adopt contactless processes like QR code, online forms, digital payments like e-wallet, among others, for both check-in and check-out. On the other hand, Tata Sons have donated 20 ambulances, 100 ventilators and financial assistance of Rs 10 crore for setting up of Immunology and Virus Infection Research Center to the Brihanmumbai Municipal Corporation in order to strengthen its fight against COVID-19. Madhuri Pange, AIR News, Mumbai.
The University Grants Commission has revisited its earlier guidelines related to university examinations. In view of the safety, career progression and placement of students and their larger interests, the UGC has decided that intermediate semester students will be evaluated based on internal assessment as per earlier guidelines issued. The UGC has also decided that the evaluation of terminal semester students will be conducted by the end of September 2020, following the guidelines laid down by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare for COVID-19. The guidelines state that it is important to safeguard the principles of health, safety, fair and equal opportunity for students. At the same time, it is very crucial to ensure academic credibility, career opportunities and future progress of students globally. According to the guidelines, final year students having backlog should compulsorily be evaluated by conducting examinations offline, online or blended mode as per feasibility and suitability. In case a student of final year is unable to appear in the examination, the candidate may be given opportunity to appear in special examinations. This shall be applicable only for the current academic year 2019-20 as a one-time measure. The Telangana state government has begun demolishing the old Secretariat buildings in Hyderabad from early this morning. Spread over 25 acres of area in the heart of Hyderabad city, the old Secretariat with 10 blocks has been functioning since 1950s and also houses a building from where the Nizam used to run the administration. The state government had informed the State High Court earlier over a petition against demolition that some of the blocks in the old Secretariat are in a dilapidated condition and some new blocks are also not in tune with the safety norms. According to the authorities, the construction of the new Secretariat building will be taken up at an estimated cost of about 400 crore rupees and the work will commence later during this month.
In Punjab, the process of e-registration for all travellers to the state has been made mandatory from yesterday. Our correspondent reports that travellers have to self-register online either through COVA app or through the state government's official web link before entering the state. Earlier Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh has ruled out dilution of the 14-day home quarantine norm for domestic entrants in the light of the high risk posed by those coming from Delhi NCR in particular. More from our correspondent.
The process of e-registration for all travellers to the state has come into force. Travellers will self-register themselves through COVA app or through a web link cova.punjab.gov.in before embarking on the journey. After registration, the primary traveller will receive a confirmation link through SMS for taking a printout with QR code on A4 size sheet by clicking this link. At the border checkpoint, staff will scan the QR code on the printout. This will be followed by basic medical screening. In case a passenger has COVID symptoms, the health staff at the border checkpoint will assist and guide the passenger. The domestic asymptomatic passengers after crossing the checkpoint will have to undergo self-home quarantine for 14 days. Ashwini Kumar Sharma, AIR News, Chandigarh.
In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, one terrorist has been gunned down in an encounter that broke out between terrorists and security forces in Gusu area of South Kashmir's Pulwama district this morning. According to the police, a joint team of Pulwama Police and Army's 53 RR and CRPF laid a cordon and search operation in Gusu village. As the joint team encircled the suspected spot, the hiding terrorists fired upon them. The fire was retaliated by the joint team, triggering off an encounter that resulted in the killing of one terrorist. The identity of the slain terrorist has been ascertained. 2 army soldiers and 1 J&K police constable have also sustained injuries in the gun battle. Search operation was going on when reports last came in. Further details are awaited. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, Lieutenant General B.S. Raju, who is heading the Kashmir-based 15 Corps said that Pakistan's desire to send in the infiltrators is very high. He said that the launch pads are full and there are about 300 infiltrators waiting to infiltrate into this site. However, he said that his men are waiting to receive them. Lieutenant General further said that Pakistan's desire to generate violence with these infiltrated terrorists is very high, and this remains the primary tool of Pakistan to vitiate the environment in the Kashmir Valley. He said that when Kashmir Valley is quiet, then Pakistan makes a lot of noise and remains very uncomfortable. But when the valley remains tense, Pakistan remains totally quiet. He added that this correlation of Pakistan must be understood by everyone. He further said that terrorists striking in populated areas seek civilian casualties because that gets the attention and the civilian deaths provide fodder to propaganda machines. He, however, said that security forces exercise much restraint and even choice to surrender is always made to the terrorist at any anti-terror operations in the Kashmir Valley.
Shipping Minister Mansukh Mandavia today held a high-level meeting for developing around 194 existing lighthouses across India as major tourist attractions. The minister said it will boost the tourism activities in lighthouses surrounding areas and give an opportunity to know about the enriched history of lighthouses. The officials presented a detailed action plan to develop lighthouses as tourism spots. Mr. Mandavia advised officials to identify the lighthouses which are more than 100 years old. As per the Master Development Plan of lighthouses, some key attractions are museums, aquariums, children play area and gardens, along with water bodies. The minister also took stock of the progress for developing tourist activities at Gopinath, Dwarka and Veraval lighthouses of Gujarat. The minister instructed the official to prepare a detailed presentation on the project at the earliest.
The Apex Investigation Agency CBI has taken over the case of the alleged custodial death of the Satankulam father's son duo in Tamil Nadu. The state government has informed in Chennai today that the CBI has issued a notification taking up the case. The case shocked the whole nation and it gained strength after the Madurai bench of the Madras High Court took it up. It directed a magisterial inquiry. When the state government decided to hand it over to the CBI, the High Court directed the CBCID to take up the investigation until the CBI begins its inquiry so that the evidences could be preserved. Based on the report of the magistrate and the preliminary findings of the autopsy report, the High Court said that prima facie evidence to slap charges of murder against the accused policemen. 5 policemen, including the station house officer and 2 sub-inspectors, were later arrested by the CBCID.
The United States is looking at banning Chinese social media apps, including TikTok. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said this yesterday in an interview with an American news channel. U.S. lawmakers have raised national security concerns over TikTok's handling of user data. They were worried about Chinese laws requiring domestic companies to support and cooperate with intelligence work controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. Now let us take a look at the weather for today. National capital Delhi is expected to have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. Minimum temperature recorded was 26 degrees Celsius and the maximum is expected to be 35 degrees. Mumbai will have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Minimum temperature recorded was 26 while maximum will be 31. In Chennai, minimum temperature recorded was 27 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be 34. It will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. In Kolkata, the minimum temperature recorded was 27 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be 31 degrees. It will have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Chandigarh will see generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Minimum temperature recorded in the city was 24 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be 34 degrees. Dehradun will have generally cloudy sky with heavy rain. The minimum temperature recorded was 24 degrees Celsius and the maximum is expected at 30 degrees. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature recorded was at 28 degrees Celsius in Jammu while the maximum will be around 36 degrees. The sky will be partly cloudy with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. In Srinagar, the minimum temperature was recorded at 14 degrees Celsius while maximum will be around 32 degrees. The city will have mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. In Gilgit, the sky will be mainly clear, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Minimum temperature was recorded at 14 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 36 degrees. The sky in Muzaffarabad will be mainly clear, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The city witnessed a minimum temperature of 21 degrees Celsius, while the maximum temperature will be around 37 degrees. In Hyderabad, it will be generally cloudy sky with rain. Minimum temperature was recorded at 24 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 30 degrees. Bengaluru experienced minimum temperature of 21 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be 27 degrees. The city will have generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. India and China begin disengagement on LAC after talks between National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister. Over 15,000 people recovered from coronavirus in the last 24 hours. Recovery rate rises above 61%. Registration for human trials of Indian vaccine for coronavirus begins today. Goa opens up for tourists, 250 hotels to open. Maharashtra also allows hotels, lodges and guest houses to operate with conditions. Final year examination in universities to be held by September end, says University Grants Commission. And in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, one terrorist has been gunned down in an encounter. And with that, we end the Midday News.